So before I share with you about today's video, I remember when I was a child, we used to go biking a lot as children, even from the age of 5 and all the way up. And back in the day, things were safe. So my friends and I, after school, we would do our homework and then we would go out on biking trips, and we would bike till like 10 o'clock at night. And I remember coming home when it was dark, and my parents never worried. The world was a different time back then. But biking was just something that I've always enjoyed doing. It's one of those things where you struggle. It's hard when you're pedaling up the hills, but when you overcome, when you get to the top of that hill, then you can coast down the other side. And so there was a lot of mental struggles that you go through as you bike. And this is why I really want to encourage my children to learn how to bike from a young age. And I take them on biking trips. And so as I share today's video with you, I'm going to also share some images and videos from our biking trip that we've done throughout the rest of 2021, from summer and on, and into 2022 as well. I've taken the kids on like 12, 14 kilometer bike trips, even across like Burrard Street Bridge. And so it's something that they seem to enjoy. Same thing, it's a struggle for them. Sometimes they're really tired and they're like, Appa or Daddy, can we stop and rest? And then I'll tell them, oh, let's just get to that one point. Let's set that goal, and when we get there, then we can rest. And so what I'm trying to teach them is just to persevere and to understand that even though at times it seems like we have to give up and rest, we're capable of just a little bit more beyond that, and how to push themselves. So as I share today's video, I'm also going to share pictures and videos from our biking trip, and I hope you can enjoy today's video. Hello Ethan, Noah, and Ella, and welcome back to all the other viewers. Today is spring break. It is actually, what day is it today?
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. And the kids are on spring break. They're doing a little bit of work right now. And one of them is doing Osmo coding. And then they're going to go around and rotate, and each of them gets 30 minutes at that. And then we're going to go bowling later. But I just wanted to check in with you because it's been a long time. And today I just want to talk a little bit about what we've been going through. We're still in the middle of COVID, and they're just starting to relax and be more flexible with our restrictions here in BC. And so we're starting to plan some trips and stuff like that coming up. However, with being stuck here at home, and it's been a really rough ride for me. Ethan, Noah, and Ella, I've been really struggling, and I know that you guys haven't really seen it much. You guys have been busy and away at school, but I don't know if it's this COVID. I don't know if it's because we moved from Korea back to Vancouver. I don't know if it's seasonal. I'm just really not sure what it is. It's hard for me to put my finger on it. But the one thing that I wanted to share with you is that even though I'm probably going through maybe one of my most difficult emotional times, emotional struggles, psychological struggles, other than my grandmother's passing back in 1996, and then our first year or so in Korea when we were adjusting to our new life in Korea back in 2000. Those are the other two times that I can remember where I went through emotional struggles, and this is probably up there with those times. But what I want to share with you today is that a lot of times when we go through our problems and struggles, I don't want to minimize what you're going through, what you're encountering. Nobody can minimize that because you are actually going through that yourself. But one thing that is good to remind yourself of and remember is that these struggles are not just you. These struggles are something that everybody to some level or extent goes through. So it's the I think the most difficult thing about these emotional struggles is what we call isolation. It's where you feel like you're alone and it's just you and nobody else understands. And I think that's what's most difficult. But to remember and to be reminded of the fact that, first of all, other people are struggling as well. And again, I don't want to minimize the extent of what you're going through by, comparing it to others and saying we're all going through it. I don't want to do that at all. But it's just a reminder that yes, I am struggling. But in reality, struggles is a part of life that we have to try to overcome. The second thing to remember is that you have gone through struggles before in your life, and you have somehow managed to survive those struggles and hopefully come out of it the other end a better person. For me, it was by the grace of God that He brought me through. Because when I think back to those times when my grandmother passed and the first year of our life in Korea, man, they were pretty dark, and it didn't look like there was any light at the end of that tunnel. And at times I just didn't know how to get out of that dark place that I was in. And yet, I remember more than anything that I was not necessarily praying, but I was wrestling with God. I was really searching for Him, and sometimes when my grandmother passed, even angry with Him and complaining to Him. But it was, I knew that was where I needed to be at peace with, to make my peace was with God. And so I really wrestled with Him. I talked to Him. I questioned Him. And somehow during that time, He brought me through. And so now, even in hindsight, as I reflect upon that, pretty amazing how, in overcoming that, it was like the next chapter that after that dark period was a time of real growth and just realizations, like finding out about myself and finding out my character and growing. So we're all gonna go through hard times. Ethan, Noah, and Ella, you're gonna go through struggles as well in your life in the future. And I would love to be there for you as much as possible. I will try as long as God gives me time here on earth. But there are times when you will have to go through it on your own. But just remember that, again, struggles are a part of our growing process. We all go through these struggles. They're called growing pains. And, without struggles, is not often that we find ourselves being stretched or growing or learning. And so that's the first thing that I want you to remember. And the second thing is that, the God who brought me through all of my struggles and who has, opened doors for me of opportunity, who has given me and blessed me with more than I deserve, I pray that He would become your God as well. I pray that you would learn to trust in Him and His goodness and His faithfulness. And that it wouldn't be with here, but more so with your life, that you would be able to experience this relationship where you feel His presence with you, you feel His calming peace and His power to deliver you, that you can trust in that. And so that's kind of what we've been going through. We are coming into now spring season, and usually spring and summer is a good season for our family in the past. And like I said, we do have some trips planned, and so I hope that we can remain healthy and continue to grow and enjoy and experience life. It's so easy to be indulging or be partaking in some new food and just kind of overlook that experience and not be able to fully enjoy it. And one of the things that I want to teach you is that when you eat something or when you do something, I want you to really be able to enjoy and fully take in every single flavor and texture and experience that you can. And this will really help you to turn your perspective around so that you live a life where you are more aware of even the small, slight things, and that you can start to live a thankful life where your attitude, your perspective becomes an attitude of gratitude, living with a thankful heart. Instead of complaining or instead of being down in the dumps about things that come up in your life, more so it can be, oh man, you know what, just the fact that I have breath, just the fact that I'm in a peaceful place where, unfortunately right now there's a war going on in the Ukraine, and places where children are staying are getting bombed. And so even these things are things that we can really be grateful for. And so that's all I want to say. I'm gonna come back and leave more for you. Hopefully we can make this more of a regular thing. I love you very much, Ethan, Noah, and Ella, and I want to encourage you to continue to run the race. No matter how difficult it gets, don't throw in that towel. The one thing that I can tell you is that as a Christian, the world teaches us to be strong and to fight. But as a Christian, the fact that we need God, the only way to fully recognize and experience this is when we are on our last breath and when we have no more strength to fight on. And it's at those times when God makes his power known. And this is what it means when the Bible says, when Paul says that your power is made perfect in my weakness. It's only in our weakness that we realize the full extent of God's power and his love for us to save us when we are at our worst and so undeserving. And yet God helps us and saves us from and in those times. So I pray that this would be encouraging to you and that this would give you that strength and motivation that you need to keep going in terms of really learning more about yourself and discovering more about who you are. So I will talk to you again next time. Peace.